Ladies and gentlemen, it's me, the Mullet Man, Travis Hinton. You're watching Five Star Takes, and I'm here to show you what Mullet Mania is all about. Be sure to tune in now on YouTube.
Hey everybody, DDJ here along with Isaac, and that's not Shane in the middle with us, by the way. Isaac, tell us about our guest tonight.
Oh my God, this is one of the favorite guests I ever had on such a good shoot. This is none other than Barry Horowitz. I'm Isaac, Dennis, Barry. Thank you for joining us. I really enjoyed our interview last time, and it's an honor and a privilege to have you back and to get to talk to you some more. So thank you.
No, thank you for having me back, and pleasure to be here again, Isaac and Dennis. So, yeah, let's get this sucker rocking.
Yeah, I am so excited.
And you know what? Because our guest said, "Let's get it rocking." Isaac, what do you say we roll the opener?
Yeah, roll the intro music, and then we'll just get right into the questions.
Sure. Sounds awesome.
Awesome. All right, man. Here we go.
Cool.
Oh yeah,
thank you very much.
That was cool. I noticed in the beginning Isaac was coming out of the bathroom stall.
Oh man, coming out of the bathroom in the gym, getting ready to fucking crush, man. Just getting absolutely ready to crush.
Oh, I thought you were just taking an Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
No, on this show, in this term, we use the term "just incredible."
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe you could have wiped. Maybe you could have wiped it with that.
I had Just Incredible on the show one time, and in between just chain smoking in a small room, he went and took a shit in the middle of the podcast. So while still on video chat, it was pretty surreal. It's
a shame because I like Justin a lot. I know him as PJ Walker.
Yep.
I mean, a good wrestler when he was young back in the 90s, you know,
incredible.
And
yeah.
I saw him on a big meet and greet in Albany about a year and a half. Yeah, it's a shame. Things have changed for him, and you know, I hope things get better for him because I really do like him, and he was a hell of a worker, and I just haven't seen him in years. I've heard stories and whatnot, but you know, I don't get into the gossip and burying people unless.
They deserve it.
I mean, if you know, sometimes that can backfire on you. You're kayfabe and you're not burying the guy when everybody knows there's 20 wrestlers out of 25 and 22 hate him. Okay, that means where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah. That's
so,
definitely fair.
You know, stuff like that. You can get heat that way too, or you know, baby facing it, if you will. So I don't go out of my way, but I don't lie. And if something did really happen to me or something, I'll give it justice. Maybe I won't go into detail. It all depends. I'm not really into that. I'm more into my interviews, my craft, talking about pro wrestling, talking about sports, and that's just the way I roll.
Yeah, man. Well, when we talked last time, I think one of the things that really stuck with me. You know, we had talked about your role as, you know, enhancement talent and going out there and making the guys look great.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that really stuck with me is you said, you know, like I was a professional. And I mean, I think, you know, and the way you just spoke really, I mean, you know, it speaks to your professionalism. And one of the questions that have been going through my head after that have been, you know, was being so professional a hindrance to you making it further, right? I mean, because you look at the guys. I mean, maybe it's. I sort of assume it's a little different these days, but in that time, I mean, like you look at guys like Shawn Michaels, who is like an incredible worker, but a notorious pain in the ass at the time. I think things obviously have changed for him, but do you think had you been more of a pain in the ass that you would have?
Oh, I know where you're going. Yeah.
Would you
I've
have?
tried
Would you have
every
done
avenue.
better?
I've tried every avenue with this. Maybe if I came in late and failed drug tests and hung with the cliquish crowds and whatnot, would I have got a push? But guess what? Yeah, in my pocket, it would have been good notoriety. But you got to think 20 years down the road. Where are these guys?
Mhm.
They're dead. They've
Yeah.
killed themselves. They're
Yeah.
in prison. They look like 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound sock, or they're broke.
Mhm.
Now, not all of them. I'm not going to stereotype,
Right.
but I've never been a follower. I've been a leader. And if my work don't get it and showing up on time and punching in that time clock, if you will, like any other job, there's rules and regulations. It's in the NFL, it's here and there. But, there's a lot of favoritism. There's a lot of clicks. There's a lot of who you know, what
Mhm.
you know, not what you know, who you know.
Yep.
And it's few and far in between. And I thought it eased up, and I still think it probably hasn't. There's some workers that, I mean, I've seen some stuff on TV that they get a storyline. It lasts 4 weeks. He quit. He did this, and it all comes down to when you do stuff like that in a business. In my eyes, towards another wrestler, towards a company, and you haven't paid your dues yet, you're a disrespectful fuck.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I just don't like it. I wasn't taught that way. And then you could go, oh, Barry, you're being old school. Well, old school still prevails. You still arm drag the same way.
Yeah.
You still body slam the same way, unless you
Mhm.
weren't taught properly. Okay, the only new school is if you want to fly off the turnbuckles and onto tables, and I wasn't taught that. And I don't think it's not part of my forte. Just like there's other wrestlers, technical wrestlers that are like me. And if if you want to do that, I mean, I don't know. And 20 super kicks to the face, you're not bleeding, you're not knocked out. I know it's sports entertainment, but you got to mix it up properly. And I really believe in a good, solid wrestling match with good spots, hard work. You're trying to pin them, you're trying to submit them, work the hold, tell the story, involve the people, involve the great referee Earl Hebner or Joey Morello or whatchamacall. I hate forgetting his name. I love this guy to death, and I know him a long time.
Baby Nate, right? Are we talking about?
Mike Chioda.
Mike Chioda,
Oh,
the man.
oh, we
Yeah,
had him.
I mean,
We had him on the
there's
show
Danny
once.
Davis, there's a bunch, and then you got your opponent. I'm just gonna throw it out there right away because one of my favorite. If I'm out there with Skip or Owen Hart or Brad Armstrong, are you kidding me?
I love
We're gonna
Brad Armstrong.
we're gonna have a good match
Yes.
because there's two competing. Now, when you got a guy that doesn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch, but they want to push him, that's my job to make him look like he's 1,000% when he really is about 10%.
Right.
Yep. And that
And
was
I have
what you
no
were
ego,
incredible at, though. I
Yeah.
mean, you were
ego,
so good at it.
no ego. Yeah, because I could have went either way. Let's see, what could we do with Barry Horowitz? Could we push him? Yeah, we could do that. Could we do a storyline? Yeah, we could do that. It's been proven in other territories.
Yeah.
But you can't always be the leader of the rock group. You just can't be. Not everybody could be David Lee Roth or Vince Neil. You just can't have it. It don't
No.
work that way.
No.
It'd be very boring. Think of you if
That's
you went
true.
to a restaurant and all it has is steak, salad. That's it. You got to have variety. You got to have a good menu. Not everybody can be the kingpin, And I don't know. So they knew I had a good attitude, and it wasn't I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna. There's some guys. You're not pushing me. You're not gonna give me. But I quit. Well, that I quit. I don't know where that's gonna take you unless you saved your money. You can go to
Mhm.
Japan. You could do the Indies. You can go to the flea market. You can go to your backyard. I don't know what if that's what you want, but you're not fulfilling your dream, and you're not part of something that could escalate.
And you're not on TV every week. You're not, you're not a
yeah. There's a lot could be argued and stuff, but I've been around a long time. I think I'm in pretty decent shape and look good for my age.
Look great
compared to other guys that are in my slot. And it's weird. There's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of you're going to take my spot. What you need to worry about is look good, get to the building on time, follow the rules, and work your ass off in the ring.
Yeah.
That's what you need to worry about instead of the drama, the ha-ha and gaga, and having pissing contests on social media. So stupid, so markish, so dumbassish. I don't have time for that bullshit. I'm too busy doing things with my family. I'm training somebody. I'm training myself at the gym. I'm reading. I'm pushing my new book out. I'm doing things that keep me credible.
Yeah.
So again, it's almost like a bad highway in some state that they're doing everything but driving. They're eating donuts, they're drinking coffee, they're texting, they're on the phone, they're looking down, they're talking to friends. Shouldn't you just drive? You'll get there safer and faster. I promise you.
That is a great analogy.
I like that, but all right. So this is a question. Whenever I've had a chance to interview, a wrestler, I always like to know how you discovered pro wrestling. So how did you discover pro wrestling?
Okay. I would say good question, and it is a good question, but I've asked that numerous times, and there's no issues with that because it does stem from that. But I saw it on TV when I was about, I'm going to say 14, 15, Florida Championship Wrestling with Gordon Soley from Florida. And I saw the great late Thunderbolt Jackson against Mr. Clean. And as usual, a kid that age, I want to be that. You never do that. It locked in from 15 on.
Wow.
I started weight training. I started watching every wrestling show I can. I started reading. I didn't mark out. I didn't get autographs. I went to a few shows, some big shows in Florida, some spot shows, but just to watch and see how it goes. But mostly I was doing my work from afar. So that's what happened. And I pursued, and it's very hard at that time to get in because, you can go in some of those rings or something and, you got to watch what you say, and you're going to, shoot off your mouth and be sarcastic about the wrestling business, and you're going to get a tune-up. And I mean a major tune-up from the likes of Bob Orton Jr., Bob Roop, Dick Slater. That was part of their job, tuning you up a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, they don't do that no more. But they, they'll say, "Oh, do 5,000 Hindu squats. You can't do that. You're not a pro." Well, okay, I understand all that stuff. It's part of it. It is part of the paying the dues, but you don't have to beat somebody's ass or stretch them. If they're disrespectful, pull them to the side, or if you have to do it in front of the class, verbally assault them. Or maybe you're just not made for this. Maybe it's a fad to you. It's a it's a new tattoo, if you will. You got to be serious. And I don't mean get your ass beat and take a bunch of crap. I mean, you could do, sometimes it depends on where you're training, these centers, these academies, whatever you want to call them, schools. You could say the wrong thing and you're out, which kind of sucks. And it's not fair.
Yeah.
But all depends who you are also. Once again, it's a shame. I'm glad I didn't train that way. I have been trained, and I'm tired of saying one of and this bullshit. I'm tired of saying I'm being biased. I was trained by the fucking best, and that's the great Malenko family. Carl Gotch, Carl von Stromheim. Wow. End of conversation.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's legendary status there.
And any of these guys
a lot of great names there.
Any of these guys don't want to hear that, or fans, I don't really care. Some of these guys, hey, how long have you been training? 6 months? Really? Wow. What'd you learn in 6 months, dude?
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a long time, man. And I mean, and you're
You don't want to have some guy taking your money. You don't want to have these schools that take your money. You may want to do some background checks on them and just check out everything. But my best thing, and I've been there before, you need to go to Japan for about a year.
Okay.
Live their lifestyle. You'll gain how respect. You'll gain it verbally, mentally, and the physicality is next level. You'll come out of there a fine-tuned, well-oiled wrestling machine.
Well, I had a question about Japan. You had a fucking match with Stan Hansen in 1993, and you and Stan beat the shit out of each other in that, to the point where there's speculation that it went from being a work to a shoot. But it was just, I mean, it was an incredible match and it was brutal. But I mean, was it all just the work? And
It was a little bit of both. I don't really remember a singles match with him, but if you say that, I do remember tag matches in there. I do remember multiple tag matches. That's just the way Stan works. You know what? The great late Dr. Death Steve Williams said this. Wrestling's not ballet. If it was, everybody could be a pro wrestler, make money, and be famous.
yep.
Okay, it takes some guts, it takes some pain, it takes some fortitude. Of course, it takes discipline. I mean, sure, you could be born. Here's a good example. You could be born like the one man gang or Mabel. Rest his soul, because he was a good guy. I liked him. You know
I've
what
heard
I'm
that
talking
about
about.
him.
Okay.
Yeah,
Men on a mission.
Oh yeah,
And-
I've been watching wrestling for over 30 years. So yeah.
Okay, so you know where I'm talking. So
Yep.
these guys are big automatically.
Yes.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I wanted to start from the bottom. That's why I did amateur wrestling in high school and college, and just pay my dues and learn something, the foundation of wrestling. But these guys are lucky. They could have went right in. They're a big guy. They adapt. Some do adapt, and then some don't.
Mhm.
Like you got your Andre the Giant, you got your big guys, and then some were an oddity, like the great Khali. I don't think he really adapted well.
Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah, he wasn't really into it. He was, an ex-basketball player with
Right,
bad
yep.
knees.
Do you think someone like the Great Khali would have made it bigger in the territory days, or do you think he would have just been?
Well, I think he had some disabilities. I don't know him at all.
Yeah. I just wonder, just because of his size, his look, and then just like be playing an Indian villain, whether he could have gotten by.
That's what I think. All of the above. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know him. I don't. It's. I'll tell you, and I don't know if they're pushing him anymore. If he's there anymore, is Amos? Am I saying that right?
Almost.
He
Yeah.
hasn't been on TV in I don't know how long. I know his manager MVP was just on AEW this Wednesday night and stuff.
Some things come to an end. Sometimes that's all Vince creations. Now there's a new sheriff in town. But let's just say Amos, okay?
Yeah.
I will say one thing about the guy. I don't know him, but for his size, in 6 months, he got looking better and his work got more solid.
Yep.
He was pushable.
Yeah, I agree.
All that time and work for nothing. Now, where is he? Where is he?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Like, I don't know if he's still under contract or if he got released or nothing.
That's a shame.
Do you watch much wrestling now? Do you watch a lot of current product? And if so, do you have any opinions on Gunther?
I watch different shows. I don't stay there and stare because I'm watching other things. Or if I'm flipping the channels, I'll just give you a quick example.
Yeah.
If I'm flipping the channels and I see Chad Gable against, I'm going to throw out names. Let's just say, because I don't know everybody on the roster there. So let's just say, heck, Chad Gable against Rey Mysterio. I
Okay.
probably watch it. It's going to be technically sound. There's
Mhm.
going to be a little pro stuff in there. There's going to be a little entertain. Excuse me. There's going to be entertainment. There's going to be solid wrestling. There's going to be holds you've never seen. You're going to go for the submission. You're going to go for the tap out and whatnot. And not this sloppy stuff where they just cover like this, where there's a bridge there. Hey, you should get down lower. Hook that arm, hook that leg, and try to pin the dude.
Yeah.
See, these are faults of wrestlers that don't know any better, and these are faults of the agents in the back. They need to correct them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you can go with the announcers too. I saw a match a month ago. I forgot what company it was. The guy did a beautiful Russian leg sweep. Nothing was said. Nothing. So you wasted that. I mean, it was good for
Mhm.
the live audience, but the people at home that don't know what that is, hey, what
Right.
was that?
Yeah.
You got to get graphic, and you got to know wrestling verbiage, amateur
Mhm.
and professional.
I agree. I do
Yeah.
miss hearing a lot of those things called and
Mhm.
seeing that aspect. Do you what do you think of a guy like Gunther? Do you watch much of, have you watched much of his
I've only
stuff?
seen a few of his matches. I will say the guy shaped up. He looks
Yeah.
better. I don't know
Yes.
how tall he is. Got a good look. The face, his accent, his work is pretty solid. He does some pretty cool stuff. Technically, technically sound.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
I've always been a big fan. One of the things I always thought was interesting about him is he's one of the few, if only like maybe the only wrestler on the roster who doesn't have a finishing move.
He's
Really?
6'4", by the way.
He's
I just
six
looked it up.
four, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he doesn't have like a finisher, which I think is really interesting in like
Oh yeah.
today's
Yeah.
world of wrestling, where it's like, okay, when you hit this ends the match unless it's a big pay-per-view. So you never know.
What he's gonna do. I mean, it
Yeah,
could
and
be a
how it's
clothesline, it could be a chop, it could be a splash, it could be
Right.
everything.
Even when I was actively working, I didn't use it, and they didn't even address that.
yeah.
Mhm. So
I mean, I beat Skip for the first time on TV with a 3/4 Nelson grapevine.
I remember watching that at home and going, "Holy shit!" Because back in the day, you never saw stuff like that where like an enhancement talent got the win, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And actually, that was something I was wanting to talk about. Like, how did that come about? That whole thing with Skip, and then like leading into SummerSlam
Well, I
and
just
stuff.
think they saw our matches in the house shows, spot
Okay,
shows, and whatnot, and it was reported back to the office and said, "Let's do something with these guys." But I waited my turn. I was happy. And Chris Candido, wow.
oh
I
my
mean,
god,
it was just awesome because there was no pulling teeth, there was no ego. It was going out there and having legitimate physical fun, but doing our job.
mm-hmm.
So, it
Yeah,
wasn't a grudge or a pain in the ass or something like that. And I've had a few guys like that it's just there's just no ego or nothing. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't have an ego, because really, if you're really worried about your win-loss record and getting tarnished on nationwide TV, which
mm-hmm.
can rebuild you weekly.
Yeah,
Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, but nowadays they don't give a crap. Maybe you should join the UFC and go up to Dana White and say, "Hey, can I get a tryout?" Brock will punch you in the face. It'll be over in 5 seconds, and then you'll
and you're
beg
done.
the big companies, "Could I come back to work and put somebody over?"
Yeah.
That was, yeah. I just, like I said, I remember seeing that and just like you didn't see that happen. I remember when like the 1-2-3 kid beat Razor Ramon on Raw, like stuff like, oh my god. I think the best part about that whole thing with you and Skip though was I remember watching your match at SummerSlam that year, and after you beat him at SummerSlam, I think you did an interview after the show with whatever guy, and they unveiled the Barry Horowitz T-shirt, and then just Lawler on commentary. That just sealed it. Like he's freaking out, like going crazy that you got your shirt. Like, what was that like? Like getting like your own T-shirt, like
Well,
especially when that's on pay-per-view.
I've earned this,
Yeah, you
and
did.
I've earned it, and I waited. I could have left. I could have quit, and this wouldn't have happened. And they don't
Mhm.
give a crap. they've got other stars to build and whatnot. So I said, this is what I do. This is my dream. Where else? Why would I go anywhere else? Nationwide TV. I mean, hundreds and thousands of matches of every one of their shows. And I just, that turned into a big year for me. I mean, I was in the Slammies. I was captain of my team at Survivor Series.
That's right. You were the captain.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that. I remember.
I was in King in a Ring. I was in your house matches.
Yeah.
I was doing promos. I did a commercial with Hakushi for Karate Fighters. I played on a celebrity softball team in Anaheim. You know, it was the wrestlers against the Welcome Back Carter people and people from Cannon and shows in the 80s or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Could they have kept me longer and made it longer and even bill me? They could have, but I'm grateful for what they did. I really am.
That must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. And just a lot of things, promos and special matches and tag matches. And was so that shows you something, that if you take enhancement, and there's only a handful that they'll go that far with, just because you're enhancement, if you can't carry that apple cart and you're falling down, we can't push you even enhancement. Plus, you could always, I think I stood out with my look, everything about me, that, okay, this guy's enhancement, but this dude knows how to work. Because I made sure I got my shit in on TV just to show the audience, the office, I know more than a wrist lock. But at the same time, could be the next night, and you want me to put Kevin Nash over in 30 seconds? No problem.
You could sell like hell, man.
Yeah.
You really could. I mean, that's one of the things when I watched that like you with Stan Hansen, and just watching you get beat on, I'm like, when you hitting him, and I was just like, Jesus, some of those lariats that he hit you with, I was like, I thought your head was about to pop off.
Some of it was.
Yeah, I bet.
One other question I have, and it was kind of from around that area, and this is something I was wondering, because like you said, I would see you like, 1 week on Superstars going up against, Skip. Then like the next week it would be to somebody else from there. I'll just say Jean-Pierre Lafitte, because he's the first person I could think of from 1990, mid-90s WWF stuff. What was a typical day like for when you would go to, like, say, Superstars or Wrestling Challenge? And, like, I know they would do multiple shows at a time, but what was a typical day like for you when you would go to one of those tapings?
Well, basically, I mean, sometimes you could train, sometimes you're not. You got to be at the building by noon. You can't be late. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. You talk to everybody, go over your matches. You look at what you're doing that night. There's catering. There's a lot of walking around and going to the gym and whatnot, but it was very pressure-like. So I made sure I got a lot of workouts in, and then I did a lot of walking around the building, like a semi-cardio, a lot of push-ups, a lot of stretching, because you got to save some fuel in a tank for that match. Even if it could go 6 minutes, it could go a minute, or hey, we need a 10-minute dark match.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anything could happen, but for the most part, I used to wrestle a lot when I first started working for Vince Sr. When it was with WWF, it backed off, and then sometimes no more than 2 times though.
Okay.
But when I first started with Vince Sr., I would work 6 times in 2 days.
Yeah. So, and then one other question I have too: where did the patting yourself on the back come from?
Well, that stemmed from an amateur match back in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I'm from. It was actually a high school match. I think I was not a sophomore, junior, and I just thought I really did. I may have swept his leg or waist cinched him and took him down. And I kind of just, it was a quick pat on the back. I've seen probably comedians do it or something in a movie. I didn't emphasize it like I do now, because the way you do it now is showmanship. The way I did it was a shoot. So I got
Okay.
deducted 2 points and I got reprimanded by my coach.
Oh,
But
geez.
I knew someday, somewhere, somehow, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. That's in my back pocket because that is my heel gimmick.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what
That's
a lot of what you're
incredible.
known for.
That's awesome. What a way to just pull that out and be like,
And
you know what?
and to piggyback on that, and to what is the word? I forgot. To piggyback on that, and to I forgot the word. I was going into something else, but like my book says, wrestling is my gimmick.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's true, man. And
It-
goddamn, what a gimmick. Did you mentioned that you could have quit and you could have left WWE when they weren't pushing
Pushing,
you or
yeah.
whatever. Hulk Hogan in an interview in '98 said that he told you to leave in the early '90s, and I figured it was more Hulk Hogan being everywhere all the time. But was there ever a point where you had a conversation was like, you're better than this and you should go someplace else?
I never heard that. I think I would remember that because I've had conversations with. I've been on private planes with Hogan when we used to do. They were called double shot weekends. You would wrestle Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, Sunday
Sunday
night,
night.
and they would have 2 or 3 planes, one for the heels, one for the baby faces. And I remember being on a plane with Hogan and Ron Bass, and just idle chit chat, nothing. It was really cool in the locker room too. Always respectful. I was always respectful of him. I've seen him on planes. I haven't seen him in years, even though we live in, in the same town
Yep.
or same area, if you will.
Mhm.
I don't remember him saying that. He could have, but I think when something is said to me of that nature, it like never leaves me.
Yeah.
So I can't, I don't
Yeah.
remember that.
He had something along the lines. He said that you're too good for what they're doing, and that you should be, like going someplace else. But he also says that he, was almost the bass player for Metallica too. So
No, I didn't know that either.
yeah, he claimed that in one interview too. So
Wow.
sometimes you can never tell. But uh, you talk about one of the things you mentioned last time we talked, and I don't think we got to dive into it as much as I'd like to. But you talk out about working out and your exercise routine, and then also you were really into supplements last time we talked.
Well, as we speak, I'm a certified sports nutritionist.
Uh huh.
I've gotten all of that from FSU, but I took some time off from wrestling and did private schooling and lessons with professors, scientists, people that like worked at Metrics
Hmm.
and oh god, that company that Arnold had. It was he doesn't own it anymore. I forgot.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
But yeah, I'm into the sports nutrition's my forte, but I know a little bit about everything. I mean, I'm not just a protein. I mean, I know about, your magnesiums and your CoQ10 and your blood thinners and fish oil and turmeric. And I can go on and on and on about vitamins, minerals, herbs, and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's good, but anytime you're involved in showbiz or professional sports or of anything of that nature, you're going to make more money.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fair. Do
Just,
you
just the gist of it.
so do you think that with the information, I mean, there's so much that has been learned, just in the last 10, 15 years, right, in sports science. And
Yep.
um do you is this something that you just wish you had this kind of knowledge when you first started training? I mean, do you look back and be like, man, if only I had this knowledge, I could have really like done a lot more with my physical training. And not to say that like you didn't train well, but I mean, I just feel
Well,
like there's a lot of there's just a lot of information
I
that's
knew
progressed.
50%. The other
Yeah.
50 is when I left wrestling for a bit. and it got more intense. I got more older. I got more averse, trained more, changed my workouts. Remember now, when I was traveling first year with the WWF, we were going a lot to LA, meeting pros at Gold's Gym in Santa Monica.
Yep.
And I would see these people and watch them and talk to them. And they were really, obligable. I remember talking to Don Morocco and Jimmy Snuka a lot about training, Bob Backlund. Yeah. So there's a lot of things there. I would watch different films and stuff. Now you could watch all you want on YouTube.
Yep.
But yes, it progressed. Now remember, I couldn't get overboard or train like I'm training now because I just couldn't do it when I'm traveling those roads. Airplanes, rent a car, you just can't. Now, if you're up here on the ladder and you're John Cena, if you're somebody of that nature and you're allowed to be late to the building, or you could train more, or your matches aren't as physical as mine, it's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is.
Yep.
So I think I did all right. But now that I'm away from it, I am not wrestling no more. I'm more of a consultant, advisor. Of course, my book, the meet and greets. I'm huge on Cameo. Pro Wrestling Tees has been good to me. YouTube has been real good to me. My company with my shooting manager, Richie Sorrentino, aka the King of Credit, we own a company called GTG, Good Times Guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with them.
Yeah, live wrestling auction. We're partners in that, in a business together. And he's also, he's my booker. And so I there's other things. So now, and I'm with my family more. So I'm training anywhere from 5 to 6 days a week. The very least is 4.
What is your regimen kind of like? What are you doing?
Well, if I go with my 6 day or 5 day, mostly it's 3 days of weightlifting, compound movements, not as heavy as I used to because I have some injuries. I had a neck injury that's fixed. I had a tricep injury that's fixed. I had some sciatic issues from all the deadlifts, heavy squats, and bumping my ass off for over 30 years.
Yeah, of course.
Hurt my knee a little bit. So I go with what I can, mass movements, of course, something like deadlifts or bent over rows or dips or seated military press. I'm going to go 8 to 10 reps. But otherwise, I really like the way I follow. I like the way Jay Cutler does things, and he advises 8 to 12 reps on a lot of stuff. And it's a pretty good, it's almost a magic number. And I stick to good basics, good form. The other 3 days I call conditioning. And they consist of a lot of push-ups, a lot of Hindu squats, forearms, calves, neck. Let me think if I missed anything. When you add all that up, it comes out to about an hour and a half, and that's the light workout. I mean, we're looking at, just off the top of my head, I do close to 3,000 push-ups a week.
Wow.
That's
I don't think I've done that many in my life.
That's besides the weightlifting.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to just let's say my calves, for instance, or forearms, at 6 days a week, I'm doing 36 sets of calves, 36 sets of forearms, 3 times 6, 18 sets of neck a week.
Wow. Yeah, you're crushing.
And I like that though. And it breaks it up to where you're not overtraining. I get a power nap in every day. My food, my protein is much better. I could take time to prepare for prep and my supplementation. A lot of protein. I mean, you name it in protein, I do it as far as almost every day.
I mean, you know what I've been drinking is I don't know if you've had the Core Power shakes by.
Yes, I'm familiar with them.
Those for 42 grams of protein and only 230 calories and barely any sugar.
I think the sugar is higher for me than I want to see.
It's 8 grams total, but no added sugar. So it's just
it's not too bad if you.
I
do whey
grams,
protein with water.
Yep.
I do a lot of creatine, a lot of glutamine.
Yep.
I do a lot of grilled chicken. I do egg whites every day, egg yolks. I do my bananas, my fruit, meats. My go-to carb is rice. Otherwise, it's dry baked potato, mashed potatoes without anything. Not a big bread person, not a dessert person. Lots
Yeah.
and lots of water. Even at the gym, in fact, I always have fresh lemons in my water. You know, they're got flavonoids in them. They're also antibacterial for your body. So, yeah, I don't do Diet Cokes. I don't do iced tea. And I don't mean I don't do them once a week.
Yeah.
A lot of natural, and I mean natural peanut butter every day, raw honey, oatmeal,
Nice. Yeah,
white
those that
English muffins, because
getting that
that's
good oatmeal, man. I'm a
oh,
chef.
oatmeal's
I'm
yeah,
a chef. I
oatmeal
work
is
for
it's 6
yeah,
days a week, my oatmeal.
yeah, getting
Protein
good
bars.
steel cut oatmeal
I do center cut
crushes.
pork chops at least twice a month.
Okay.
With probably all my stuff, I don't do condiments. It's mostly uh, olive oil.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah, that makes sense.
see, tonight I'm going to be eating dinner late, and but it was a light workout, so I will have a loaded salad and soup. I have a
Nice.
natural soup I start off with. It's really good, and I never used to be into the soups, but the salad is loaded. I'm talking chicken, turkey, raw nuts, celery, spinach, you name it, it's in there. It's
Hell
about a
yeah.
pound.
Yeah, that sounds about
So
right.
I'm on point with almost all my things. I'm sure I'm missing a couple things there. Um, I can't think. Sometimes if I snack, I have some baked snacks. I have a cheat night maybe once a week. It's usually Saturday. So yeah, that's
That's
everything.
awesome.
The
Yeah.
key is being dedicated,
Mhm.
consistent, accountable. You know, you got to show up with fortitude and show up with, grits and glory. Anybody could just say, well, I showed up at the gym, and you're just sitting in the
Yeah.
corner waiting for the tanning bed to turn off or something.
I
You
mean,
know,
I started getting, I'm turning 40 in less just under a week. And in April, I said, fuck it. I was like, I'm not getting any younger and it's only going to get harder. So I just started hitting the gym every day.
it's
I
good.
work at a school where I'm a chef at a school. It's a boarding school for kids who are going to be Olympic level like skiers and athletes.
Awesome.
So we have an incredible facility, and like getting. I have an addictive personality, and I was telling one of my coworkers that she was like, "Oh, we got to go get drinks," and I'm like, "I'm trying not to drink right now." And she's like, "Oh, it's boring." I'm like, "Listen, I'm finally addicted to something that's good for me. Just let me have this, all right?" And but the like showing up every day is really the thing, right? It's
Yeah,
the patience and the consistency and the discipline.
Mhm.
it's a
And
discipline factor. You don't want to overthink it. You don't want to underthink it. It's harder to keep yourself in the middle. If you
it's
were on a
so hard.
tightrope and you overthought it, of course, you're going to fall and something's going to happen. If you
Yes.
underthink it, it's almost the same, only you're just going to drop. But if you stay
Yes.
in the middle and balance, that's the
Yeah.
hardest part of the whole
Yeah,
journey.
It is.
absolutely.
And you just
See?
keeping going because it's easy to like like you're always ready to give yourself an excuse to take it easy, and be like, oh,
Mhm.
and keeping that going. And then for me, the patience to let the process happen, right?
Yeah, the
Because
patience.
I
You
think,
know,
I think that's just part of culture nowadays in general, is that like we're so used to like Amazon instant shipping, you get things the next
yeah,
day,
yeah.
and
It's actually it's
it's
sure it's
so
making
hard.
making money, but I don't believe in it. It's making you lazier.
Hmm.
I really think that. And of course, the internet and the phone, it's way out of control.
Oh yeah,
And it
Yeah.
absolutely.
won't diminish because it's a moneymaker, just like they don't
Mhm.
cancel cigarettes. It's a
Yeah,
moneymaker.
yeah, and it's the same addictive properties.
Right. And
Like it's the
I
same
don't care
shit.
if you call me old school. I don't have time for my phone or the internet like 3 hours a day. Do you know what I
Mhm.
could do with I can get a workout in, I could get my
Yeah.
car cleaned, I could do something to
Yeah.
my house, I could do something with my family, I could do
Exactly.
something more constructive besides being sitting there consumed by these
Yeah.
uh chemical rays or whatever come from all these things.
Yeah.
And it's not the greatest thing for your back or your neck to be like this constantly. I try to sit up straight. If I'm even watching TV, I'm going like this, or I'll walk outside or something to my mailbox. It's a little bit of a walk, and
it just
it's
trains
back and
you.
forth. Just
It
moves your
trains you
food
to
around. It just
expect.
keeps you going. But at the same time, I got to get my rest, especially if
Yeah.
you kick ass in the gym. And I'm a type A personality and my age. So it's you got to have both. You got to
Yep.
kick ass in the gym and in life without being obsessed or worrying, because that could create mental problems and stress. And then there's a time to chill.
Yeah.
I don't mean sleep your life away. Let me tell you something. According to the medical studies, a 30-minute power nap, just lay there, eyes shut, maybe thinking of something, maybe go out for 30 minutes. You wake up refreshed is equivalent to a cup of coffee.
I've heard that
And-
before.
And probably a lot better for you too.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
try to avoid the caffeine and the added sugars now. But I mean, and going back to the workout thing, like the the patience of it, like getting like having the patience to wait to see results. Because like I'm
Mhm.
like, all right, I'm 2 months into this, and I've been going every day, and I've been pushing really hard, and I don't. I mean, I feel a little better, but you don't see the results, right? And that's fucking hard for people, I think, to like,
Well,
and
it
I think
takes,
that's when they start giving up. And, it wasn't until 4 or 5 months in where I really was like, okay,
well,
I see a big difference now.
Rome wasn't built in a day, and some of
Yeah.
these people, their phone is more important, their partying is more important than the gym. See, they shun on us like we're nerds and whatnot. Let me tell you something. I'll take my life over their friggin' life any day. Because if I had to do their life, these certain people that I know and don't want to know, you would actually have to pay me. I would have to alter my friggin' gamma rays in my head, or whatever you want to call it. I couldn't do it.
No, it's too
Even
depressing,
for the
man.
money. And I like money, but I don't think I
No.
could do that.
Mhm.
It's not an obsession. It's not obsession. It's a it's a it's a drive.
Hmm.
See, there's a difference.
Oh yeah.
See, there's drive and there's hunger. And any great professional athlete that's drug free, you could see it. He could tell you that.
And that's another thing too, is, you, especially considering the era that you're in, to be, somebody who's working through that time and being, drug free, and being not on the gear and on all that shit that was going around, and not, like when at the end of a day when you're beat up, going into, painkillers or getting into that circle. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's one of the things that I'm grateful for the business has evolved on. Like I think that it seems like the partying aspect of the business has changed a lot, and that there's a recognition that that lifestyle wasn't sustainable for
Yeah.
people, which is great. But it's also, it's really sad because, I mean, we've lost, almost a full generation of talent way too early. And,
Yeah. And I didn't tell
great
him to do
people.
all this. It's easier said than done. But these guys were fortunate to go to rehab multiple times.
Mhm.
You got money. You got money. You got way more money than me. And you can't afford insurance. You can't afford to see somebody, maybe by the state for free, or maybe with that money that you blew away,
Mhm.
you could get some serious help and straighten up your life. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just using this person off the top of my head because I saw something on a show or something. Kelly Osbourne.
Mhm.
I mean, unless she's pulling a prank on me, she straightened her ass up.
I think
First of
both
all,
of the Osborne kids did turn the
that's
straightened
true.
out.
And I've
Both of
listened to
them.
both, especially is it Nick?
Jack.
Jack. Boy, he's a smart one. He's pretty damn smart.
He
And
is.
Ozzy kicked it. I mean, he's been eating good and doing this. And I think Sharon's always been straight lace.
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it'd be
I give props to people like that unless they're talking out of both sides of their mouth and bullshitting us and working me. I really don't like used car salesmen.
I get that. I get
You
that
know,
for sure.
yeah, I don't go for that. I'm not perfect or nothing, but I strive and I try hard and guess what? I enjoy my life and my family.
Seems
So,
like it. Yeah, that's great.
if anybody, I work at it too now. And then sometimes I don't. I make mistakes too.
Oh
But I
man.
try to correct them. And you could get knocked down so many times in life. You can. The trick is getting up,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's
getting
how
up
you
and striving.
it's how you
You know?
react to the things that happen that make
Yeah.
you who you are.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to come off. I know this is a wrestling interview, and I'm not trying to come off like a teacher, a scientist, a
No,
counselor,
man.
somebody's dad or something like that. But they kind
Well,
of,
you are somebody's dad.
yeah, of course, yes. Yeah, I'm just not your guys' dads.
we all are somebody's dad
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
group here.
Yeah, just
Yep.
yeah,
No,
there's
I appreciate your insight. I mean, because
Yeah.
I'm like you've talked a lot on a lot of interviews about a lot of the wrestling stuff, and I like to get into some of the stuff that's more personal to you, and I think it's
yeah.
been really good.
I try to uh listen to upbeat people, positive people. I don't get brainwashed. I don't I'll listen to them for a few minutes because you don't want to overthink things. That's bad
Mhm.
too, by the way.
Oh, it's the
Oh,
Yeah.
worst.
absolutely.
You don't want to overthink things, but you do need to think things out. And
It's
I try to
it's
stay,
balancing on that tightrope
yeah,
again.
there you go. And I
Yeah.
try to stay positive. Like, for instance, I got me I go through them, but I drink water so much. I have them at home and I have them in the gym. I have them in the car. And this one was particularly different. First of all, it's BPA free, which is a good thing. And it shows you at 8 in the morning you need to get started. And of course, by 9, you're doing great. And by
Oh,
10
that's
a.m., you keep on chugging the water. And then at 11 o'clock, always remember your goals. And then at 12 o'clock, you're almost there. And 1 o'clock till 7 o'clock p.m., you did it. And refill and repeat.
that's
Nice.
awesome.
So there you go. There's the pat on the back.
We got it right here, man. I'm
Yeah.
still rocking
That's
this.
it.
You have watched that shirt since the last time you had it on, right, Isaac?
I watch
What's that?
I watch this thing all the time. I got to keep it pristine, man. This is one of my favorite ones.
Oh yeah, it's always
And-
a pleasure with guys that
Oh,
I
yeah.
appreciate guys that appreciate me. I respect guys that respect me. I mean, just to throw this out there, you talk about respect. I was in an AEW locker room and I saw this guy. I like his work and I've only met him once. And I'm sure he was joking. Who knows? Maybe I'm sensitive. Maybe I didn't know, but I would never do this to a veteran of the ring. Hey, what are you doing here? What the fuck? I'm getting a payday. What are you doing here? It's a moronic statement.
Yeah, that's
And
a
he's
crazy thing to
lucky
ask a
because if I
wrestler.
said that to somebody like Jimmy Snuka, let's just go with the hardcore. If I said that to Ronnie Garvin or Paul Orndorff, I'd get beat up. And you possibly could lose your job or get ribbed every night for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I could see
See, that's
that.
called foot and mouth disease. If they think that's a joke, it's not funny. It's not funny. I could rib you. You can't rib me. Oh, well,
And
he
if
doesn't
they
know
and
that
if
way.
they,
Well, I was ribbed when I was young, properly, lightly, by superstars, and they never did nothing detrimental. And you got to suck it up. I mean, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Right. So
But they'll or I'll see somebody at an autograph. Hey, what are you doing here? Maybe they just mean it like that in jest, but what are you doing here, dude?
so piggybacking off.
I don't say stuff like that. That's not me. Normally, what I do this is my favorite. When I see somebody I don't care for or did me wrong, I don't say shit to them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put them over, and I kayfabe the hell out of them.
So
Why? Why would I
That's how you do
even
it.
mention anybody on this interview their name. Why? Because I'm scared. I'm worried about them. No, it's not that. I'm not putting you over, dude. I'm not
Why give
putting
him
your
the
name
airtime?
over.
The
I'm
free
not
press.
putting nothing over. You're a moron. You're an idiot.
So I got to ask you this. You talked about, getting ribbed by the superstars during your time there. What would you say was the probably like the best rib ever played on you? And who, if you
On
could,
me?
yeah.
Oh God. I don't know. Who knows who did it? Because they do it while you're in the ring, of course. And if you get ribbed, there's two kinds of ribs. They like you, like the Bulldogs and whatnot. They've actually told me that, and I don't squeal on them. I'm not a stooge. You're running to the school teacher, and then you're getting really ribbed, like a so-called superstar when they cut his sleeves off his $500 suit. He must have really heat, or I think they glued his $500 Halliburton suitcase to the ceiling with a chain.
Jesus.
Oh my
Or
God.
I
what
know
they
this
did
guy.
to Sonny's bucket.
I know this guy, and I used to like him, and I don't like him anymore. So I won't even put his name over. And good luck with your life, bro. So
Yeah.
whatever. So ribs like that, they're hiding your shirt or moving your
Yeah.
bag or something. I had one time my sleeves were missing off a free gym shirt. See, they never would do it to a silk shirt or something, but it was perfectly cut. It was perfectly cut,
Oh,
so I could
geez.
wear it. See what I mean?
That's
So,
funny.
And it worked out.
yeah.
So you'd mentioned other, like, beginning of the interview, you talked about like, you watching sports and stuff. So like, what are the sports you enjoy? Like football, baseball?
Yeah. I really I would say my favorites besides pro wrestling. I do like to watch some amateur wrestling. I
Right.
love the Olympics and mostly the gymnastics from the men and the women. I like the skiing. The ice skating is very interesting. The volleyball is pretty cool. The Summer Olympics, I'm looking forward to. I watch these people how they compare and compete and how they talk and what they do. It's almost a training session to me. Plus, I'm enjoying watching these athletes off of a high dive doing stuff that I can't dream of.
Right.
I watched Simone Biles
Oh,
do
yeah.
her floor routine, and I mean, I'm not.
Oh my
phenomenal.
God.
It's
one of
world
those
class.
things.
It's next level.
Yeah, it's like one of those things
So-
that like she's so good it makes you want to cry because you're like,
Yeah,
how is
you're
one
right.
how is
And
one
I love,
person that passionate and good about it?
I love the NFL.
Who's your team?
What's that? Oh, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay. I'm a
Yeah,
Bears
especially
fan,
when
so-
Brady was there. I do like
Yeah.
the Patriots because Brady was there. I'm a big fan of Tom Brady, his preparation, and these goofballs or marks or whatever you call them. Anytime somebody knocks Brady, you're ignorant, dude. He is
You
the GOAT.
can't. No, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
come on now. Oh, he's a cheater. Oh, okay. Okay. And if you weren't in that position, would you be a cheater or could I call you a cheater? No, dude. He studied, he eats,
He
sleeps,
still had to
drinks.
make
He's
those
gifted.
passes, man.
He
Yeah.
could go right now, and let's just say Miami needs a quarterback. They're on their third one. Tom, could you suit up? Give him a month, and guess what?
Yeah, I'd believe it.
No.
Look out.
There's
Because
no
the last
one.
time he did that, he won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay in 10 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Throwing at
No,
a city park, warming
he's the
up.
best. He's the
Yeah.
best of all time, man. There isn't a quarterback better.
And he's a pretty smart guy. He knows his diet. He knows his craft.
Mhm.
He's a badass.
Yeah. Being a Chicago Bears fan, right? I don't know what a Pro Bowl quarterback looks like because I've never seen one.
I
Yeah.
was a Raiders fan until they moved him out of Oakland. So
Yeah.
I actually stopped watching football the year that the Raiders lost to the Bucks in the Super Bowl with
Oh, wow.
Gruden, because I just remember
Oh,
being
yeah.
so mad that the Raiders never changed their playbook.
They got
Gruden-
blown out that game. I remember watching that.
Oh
Hey,
man, it was a rough one.
I do like all of the above. The only one I didn't mention was the UFC. I was really heavily into it and I backed off a little bit. So I really don't know the participants, the
Mhm.
modern ones.
Mhm.
I watch it here and there, but I loved it when it was George St. Pierre and of course let me think, Ken Shamrock
Oh,
and
Randy Couture,
Randy Couture,
Chuck
Matt.
Liddell.
He was a good amateur wrestler. Him, his twin brother, and I think twin brother died or something. He was from Illinois. He was really good. Of course, the guy that looked like Jim Carrey. That's why they called him Ace. Rich Franklin.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Of course, Brock Lesnar. But
oh.
what I really liked was it was called UFC Countdown, and they would follow them from when they got up in the morning, what they ate, where they
I
went
love
to
that kind of
breakfast, who
stuff.
they hung with. And I see all this, and they go to these restaurants and train. I've been there, done that formulation, and it's fun. It's fun as shit. Now, to your average person, that's the opposite of me, and people like me, they're bored out of their mind. But to each his own,
Yeah,
different
big
strokes,
time.
different folks.
Mhm. So, what about baseball? Are you into baseball at all? Being down
I
there?
used to be. I
Okay.
played little league when I was young. I played soccer when I was young. Uh, no, I'm not into it. I like watching girls softball.
Okay, yeah, that's just
Okay.
that's serious. Those
Yeah,
ladies are
yeah.
crazy.
Man, the way they throw they pitch. Oh God, yeah.
Well, we don't want to keep you for too much longer because you've already been very gracious with your
Yes.
time. I have one last question. Where can we find awesome stuff like this? The Barry Horowitz Pint Size All Star, your T-shirts, your book.
Okay, so
Where can we find you?
Plug your
the pro
stuff.
wrestling t-shirt, prowrestlingtees.com has, I think, 4 or 5 of my shirts. The book
Mhm.
is on Amazon. I think its initial sale date going to either Amazon or Books a Million or Barnes and Noble will be in November, as far as I'm told from the publishing company and my
Awesome.
author.
Okay.
You could look at it. I think you just Google, my book and wrestling is my gimmick, and of course Cameo.
There it is.
Cameo is I really do well on Cameo. I love it. They've been good to me. I've been there for God. I've been there with them with Cameo 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Mhm.
Of course, GTG. Of course, partnering up with Richie Sorrentino. And wow, I'm just trying to think. Of course, YouTube, Facebook, and of course, I'm on all your major. If you archived me on YouTube, I've seen matches from Crockett Promotions from '82. Me wrestling Tommy Angel, uh, or Mark Fleming, and then of course Florida Championship Wrestling, Memphis TV. I've worked for almost every major promotion,
Yeah.
all Japan. I've went overseas for indie groups. I've went to Zimbabwe and I went to Italy and I went to Germany and England, and I really have a lot of respect for the CWF. Um, One of my favorite promoters, Otto Wantz, is probably in my top 3 promoters. This man was nothing but gracious to me and did not know me. You know what he knew? He knew I could wrestle. I guess he knew I'm not going to give him a hard time. I'm gonna I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. He pursued me for 3 years.
Wow.
So much respect for that man. His company, the Rounds. Franz Schumann was there. What a great competitor. There was a lot of guys there. Uh, uh, Joe Laurinaitis, aka Animal. His brother was there as the Terminator. But there was they drew good crowds. I loved Austria. It was very kind to me. I felt I felt safe there, and I feel safe almost all my places that I've went to in my career. I'd have to say the safest is Tokyo.
Okay.
Just felt good, safe. People respected you, and I respected them. The sumo wrestlers and the baseball players and the pro wrestlers. But yeah, just really good, and I have a lot of gratitude towards the late great uh, um, oh gosh, Jerry Jarrett.
Mhm.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was good to me. I was only there 8 months, but he was good to me, and I get along with Jeff. I've had
Love Jeff.
I mean, people talk about it to this day, this match I had on TV for the Intercontinental title match against Jeff, and it was in I think it was in Stockton, California. I know it was in California somewhere because it made the front page of the sports page.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like blown away. Yeah, it was just crazy.
Well, that's
And
awesome, man.
yeah, so of course, like I said, I've worked for every major promotion. I guess the only ones and then I worked for indie groups too. Your little indie groups and whatnot. Never worked for a hardcore promotion. That's not my forte. I could do it. I've pulled it off. But it's not my,
Not your cup of tea.
yeah, it's not my cup of tea at all.
I get that.
I enjoy wrestling, just like I'm sure a hardcore wrestler isn't into leapfrogs, drop kicks, drop toe hold, arm drag, leg drag,
Right.
Northern Lights suplex, going into reverse the arm bar, crossface chicken. You're going to lose them as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't think Necro Butcher's doing that.
I don't think that's in their criteria, but to each his own. Again, it's good to have that loaded up card. Hey, tag team, you got women on there. Sometimes they do the midget gimmick. You've got the Intercontinental belt. You've got the USA belt. You got the world title. And you got some preliminary matches. I like that formulation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do. It's you're getting more bang for your buck.
You give something for everybody too.
Yes, exactly. Especially today's pro wrestling.
And you don't want to watch a show with the same match 6, 7, 8 times in a row.
No.
you got to have a variety.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
you do.
and that was, there's been so many times where we've been forced to watch stuff like that, and it's nice when you don't have to deal with that.
You had mentioned the match with Jeff Jarrett. I actually just typed in Jeff Jarrett versus Barry Horowitz on my phone on YouTube, and I actually have I'm watching highlights of it now. I'm gonna go back and once we're done and stuff, watch that because I'm just seeing it now and I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
And you got to check the Stan Hansen 93 from Japan too.
I'll have to go watch that and stuff.
That's a brutal one. Well, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you guys very much for having me on. Once again, I emphasize again, we must be having fun to do a second chapter. And
I appreciate it.
I'll be honest with you, off the top of my head, I don't write stuff down. My journey and my life, I could go many chapters, just like my book. I mean, I can go on and on and on about.
You have an open invite to join us up here anytime you want to, right, Isaac?
Oh, absolutely. We'd love to talk to you again.
I don't even know where you guys based from.
I'm in Vermont. I'm up in northern Vermont, and Dennis is out of Chicago.
I'm in South Elgin, Illinois. I'm about 45 minutes west of Chicago.
Well, I've wrestled all over Chicago, the bordering areas, Valparaiso, Terre Haute, the bordering towns. But when it comes to Vermont, I think unless I did an obscure town, the only one, and I remember it was cold, was for WWF, was Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah, they did a couple of shows a long time ago in the old Memorial Auditorium there. As I recall, which is now a condemned building. You can't even go inside it.
So you're technically for Vermont, correct?
I am from Vermont. Yeah, I was born and raised here. I spent some time in New York City and around, but now
Vermont is your main go-to.
That's my spot. I mean, that's where I live.
So let me throw this at you. Just tell me what you think of this. You could tell a guy from Vermont, but you can't tell him much.
No, not a goddamn thing, man. Vermont. Well, we like to say Vermont, where the men are men and so are the women.
That's
and on that note, Isaac, I think that's all the time we got for the show tonight. Barry, stick around.
Thank you guys. Want to give you a big pat on the back. I'll even give you the Madison Square Garden pay-per-view pat on the back.
That's look at that.
Oh my
all right,
gosh.
we're gonna play our closing video. Barry, please stick around with us so we can do a little post-credit fun and go from there.
Sure, of course.
All right. Oh man, Barry, thanks again so much. I've learned so much. I got to hear some stories about some things I like, some things I didn't know.
Oh
that
yeah,
was great.
are we off air?
We're still recording. We'd like to do a little post-credit scene thing here, but stick around because we're gonna do. I want if you wouldn't mind doing a little like promo for our show. We're gonna take ourselves
Oh
off
sure,
camera.
of course.
We'll put you on and stuff, and then we can go off air. And then if you want to chit chat before you got to get out of here and stuff.
Okay,
So,
sure.
Hey there, it's DDJ from 5 Star Takes, and when I come up to Milwaukee to see the Brewers play, there's one place that I always make it a point to stop at. Waukesha Sports Cards. Come on, let's go inside and check out what they got. Thank you. Thank you. Be sure to stop by one of their 3 locations or go to www.waukeshasportscards.com.
Legends of the Ring Sting, man. This is a great figure, old school figure. Looks great. It's Sting! Old school Sting from WCW. Guys, you know us, 3/4 of the Shooting Shit team, and we're here with a listener just like you guys. This is Jimmy from Super Powers Comics.
My friend of almost 20 years. He's known him since you were 12.
If you know people in Chicago, you probably know Dennis because he knows half the town, of course. But shooters, if you need action figures, comics, wrestling memorabilia, we just showed you Sting. Superpowers Comics will put up their QR code so you can get a good look at everything they have coming. Give it a shot, shooters. Get your superpowers on and get your comics from our friend Jimmy, who listens just like you.
Attention wrestling fans and fans of Shootin' Shit podcasts. You can now be one of the cool kids by going to ProWrestlingTees.com and buy the official Shootin' Shit t-shirt. Buy it now and be there at ringside.
This episode and all episodes of 5 Star Takes are now available on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@5StarTakes. Be sure to like and subscribe. Get all of your 5 Star Takes news and updates by going to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/SHOOTINSHT. And as always, thanks for watching.